Hello, in this video we'll see more examples of proofs using propositional logic. So this example here, what I have is A or B naught, quantity naught, and B implies C implies A naught and C. So as you see, I left this in red, I made it red because this is my goal, is to go from these two hypotheses and reach here. So what are my two hypotheses? The first one is A or B naught naught. This is true by assumption. Number two, we have B implies C is also true by assumption. So now my goal is to get to not A and C. Not A. If I know not A is true and C is true, I could use conjunctions. If I know each one of them is true, and then I could say the whole thing is true. So how to get there? So number three, I could see that I could use De Morgan's law. So I did one, De Morgan. You have to state where you use De Morgan's on, what number, what line. Next, I see that I could say not B is just B, which we did double negation, and you have the list right here. So double negation are equivalent, okay? Next, now I have both of them are true, so what I could say, each one of them is true, simplification. So what I could say, not A is true because for simplification, also B is true because for simplification. Now, what I get into is that not A is true, so I'm halfway done. All what I need to prove that C is true. How do I get C is true? Well, since B is true and B implies C, therefore C, and that is 2, 6 MP. So that's an inference rule. That's what I use, the MP. So we reach that C is true. The next, which is the last step, is that I'm going to say not A and C is true because 5, 7, and what we're going to use here is, as we stated earlier, conjunction. Because each one of them is true, so the combination with an and is true. And this is how we do this proof. Let's see another example. So as you see here, I have to prove A implies B and A implies B implies C implies A implies C. As you could see, I left C in red. Why? Because I could use A as a hypothesis by using the deduction method. Again, so I use deduction method, so now I change it to A implies C. So what I need to get into is C based on our three hypotheses. So it is first, second, and third hypotheses. So let's write them down. 1, A implies B is true by assumption. 2, A implies B implies C is true. Another second assumption, and the third, we know that A is true as well, is hypothesis. So what do we do here? But remember, this one is deduction method. So the next step is, since A is true and A implies B is true, so I would say B is true when 3 MP. Now we know B is true, okay? Since A is true and A implies B implies C is true, so 5, I could say B implies C is true, another MP. But from 2, 3 MP. Now, what do we need? We need C. So B and B implies C. 6, I could say C is true, another 4, 5 MP. And we're done. Now we end up with the C is true based on these three hypotheses. Let's see another example. So what we have here is not A and A or B implies B. So B is in red because that's my goal. So this is very simple. I write my first hypothesis, not A. Number 2, A or B is another hypothesis. Okay. Number 3. So the next step is, as you see, I'm going to do double negation for 2. Why? Because I need an implication, because I need to reach B. So if you see implication here, when you have R naught or S, this is the same as R implies S. And my R is not A, implies B. So I need the implication to be, I need to reach B. Now I see not A implies B again. So what I did here, let me write it down first, my step. 3 implication and 5, or what I'm gonna do is 1 and 4 MP. And this way I reach B. And that's what we need to reach there. Let's see one more example. As you see, we have A implies B implies C, and A or not D, and B implies D implies C. So again, I could use the deduction method and rewrite this proposition right here. And our goal is to reach C. And what I have, again, as you see, I changed this implication to an AND from a deduction method. So let's try to write our hypotheses here. D is true from deduction method. Again, I need to reach C. From these 4 hypotheses, where is C? C is right here. So we have an OR, and so we're gonna have to think somehow how to reach C that is true. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna say, because I see this not D and A, and let me write it as not D or A. So first I see that I could write not D or A by using commutative law. I just flip them, the first thing here, okay? And the reason I'm doing this because I'm going to use implication. So implication, it tells me D implies A. So I have D implies A. So I have D is true and D implies A is true. Therefore, from 4, 6, and P, I could show that A is also true. Now that I know A is true, then A implies B implies C is also true. Another MP, I could say that B implies C is true because I'm using 7, 1 MP. Then B is true and B implies C is true. Another MP, it will lead me to C is true. And we're done. We reach C based on what's given to us. Let's see this example here. So it says prove the following argument. If the program is efficient, it executes quickly. Either the program is efficient or it has a bug. However, the program does not execute quickly. Therefore, it has a bug. Use the letters EQB and let's prove if this argument is correct or not. So here is what I'm going to do. The program is efficient, so meaning E implies it executes quickly, which is Q. And either the program is efficient or it has a bug. So where we have E or B. And however, which is another and, however is and, but however, dot is all and. The program does not execute quickly, so not Q. And therefore, and this is my conclusion, it has a bug. Conclusion, it has a bug. So based on these 3 hypotheses, I want to get it into B. So let's write them down. So here are our hypotheses. So what do we know? We know A implies Q is true and not Q. So I could see MT, modus tollens, and I could say that not E is true. So MT from 1 and 3. Okay. So the next thing, because my goal is to reach B, where I see B, I see it in number 2. So what I'm going to do is double negation in number 2. So 2 double negation, and I will reach E naught, not E or B. And why I did this? Because I want to change it to an implication, just like the previous example. So 5 implication, and this will be not E implies B. So I know not E is true, and I know not E implies B is true, and therefore I would say B is true because 4, 6, and P. And this is how we prove that this argument is true. Based on this given statement, we know this program has a bug. I hope this is helpful.